My name is Schlesinger, and I'm born and raised in South Florida. Born in Miami, lived here my entire life. Went to law school at the University of Florida and graduated in 1984. Came back down and started practicing law in the family business with my father that's been in practice now for about 70 years. I mean, I think it was just a natural path to follow my father's footsteps, right? What do they say about sons with regard to their fathers? The saying is that sons are either trying to live up to their father's expectations or make up for their deficiencies. That's what it is with fathers and sons. For me, it was obvious what I was doing, which is living up to expectations. So he was a real trailblazer. Shelley went where it was blank on the map for the area of practice that he was in at the time. When my father came out and practiced all different kinds of law, he practiced divorce law, he did real estate closings, he did everything as a general practitioner, and then he discovered the satisfaction of helping folks that had been injured or killed through the carelessness of other people. And that became his life's work and his life's passion. And it was also at a time where the notion or the idea of personal injury litigation was very much in its infancy. It wasn't widely practiced. The law in the books was not extremely well developed. So it really was a guy who was being an explorer in the law, specializing in the law, and going out where literally the map was blank. And he had to chart the course himself and develop this firm as being the book. We are the book. If you look in the law books in the early days, some of those cases that laid out the law that gives contour to personal injury practice are cases that Shelley himself handled. And a lot of the early cases, going all the way back to like 1970, surf drugs versus Vermette. That was my dad's case. Went to the Florida Supreme Court. And it had to do with discovery. It's still on the books, and it set some of the boundaries of what lawyers could or couldn't get from the other side in the way of discovery, what's work product, what you're entitled to. But for generations since, that and many other cases have set law that were our cases. So, you know, I grew up in that milieu. I grew up around those guys. I saw the great trial lawyers. I saw my dad. And as a son who was trying to live up to his father's expectations, that was kind of the path that I was on. That's what made me tick. And my dad never put any pressure on me to do it, but he is a huge influence, obviously, in the firm. And, you know, we miss him. We think about him all the time. My brother's a lawyer as well. And whenever we're faced with a problem, since we lost Dad, it's always, what would Shelley do? This law firm is a second generation family firm that loves what it does, loves what it's able to do, and wants to do as good a job as they can for their clients. Because when your case is going to trial, I tell my clients, you're the most important client in the office. And so everything else is coasting and the staff is keeping things going, but the lawyers are focused on what can we do to bring justice to our client? What can we do to help those who are in need to deal as best they can with whatever limitations have befallen them through an injury that's no fault of their own, right? That where something was thrust unnaturally in their life that they have to contend with that was someone else's carelessness or worse. Sometimes some of the cases we do involve acts where it's a wrong conduct of the heart. Usually it's wrong conduct of the mind. It's a mistake of the mind, but sometimes it's a mistake of the heart. And that's part of the reason why we're so passionate, for instance, about things like tobacco litigation, because the tobacco industry is a truly evil and culpable organization that has done terrible things on purpose for money to teenagers, to addict them to nicotine. And I've done a lot of that kind of work lately, along with medical malpractice work, where a doctor makes a mistake of the mind. But tobacco executives make mistakes of the heart. They do things wrong on purpose for money. We're a very good, tight, cohesive unit, and if you have our firm and our team on your side in any sort of case, where, what is that? Somebody done somebody wrong song. Remember that old song? If in any case that involves something like that, if we accept your case and we feel like we're qualified to handle it, when it comes time that you really need it and you need it done correctly and you need us to increase the chances that you will get justice for your cause, we present a very good option to consider. As you see, I always talk about going to trial because that's the end game for everything we do. Having said that, because we do go to trial, because they know we go to trial, because we are successful in winning trials and collecting judgments for clients, we get to settle a lot of cases too. And believe me, I'll crawl on my hands and knees and beg for a case to settle rather than go to trial. Abraham Lincoln said that. Settle, settle, settle. Avoid litigation at all costs. And so if we can settle, we will. But because if we can't, we'll go to trial and get an adequate verdict from a jury of 6 people, right? Good and true from our community. We are able to get better settlements from other clients because we present that true capability of bringing the case fully through to a full conclusion. For real, we can actually do the real work.